Hey everyone, welcome back to Kirsty Colour and Sketch. Today I'm going to be doing a colour along in this Circle of Life book. I've picked this lovely page here. It's a little kind of whirlpool with whales and narwhals, and I just thought it'd be really gorgeous once it's done. So I am doing this page for another of Colour and Chat with Sammy's colouring checklist challenges, which is using inks. So any type of ink, alcohol inks, distress inks, Derwent inktense. So today I will be using my inktense. So this is the selection that I have here. And there's some gorgeous greens, aquamarines that I can use on this piece. Some lovely deep indigos, some ink black for the whale. So yeah, some really lovely colours. So these are the pencils if you've not seen what they look like before. Beautiful pencils. So let's get going. So I'm firstly going to go in with this colour, and this is the deep indigo. And I'm going to use this colour where it would look the darkest, so right in the centre of the little whirlpool. And I'm putting on sort of a medium pressure, because when you add water to these inktense, they do become very pigmented. So all in the centre. I'm not too worried about going over fish. I do leave some of the fish out, but some I do go over with this colour. Just so they sort of look like they're under the water. The blue, got the blue shades on them. So I do use 3 different colours for this water. So this is the deepest shade, and then I use another 2 colours and blend them all together. Inktense do work differently to watercolours. When you put watercolours down on the page, you can add more water to them, move them around. Once they're dry, you can add more water and move them around. But with the inktense, once they're dry, you can't really move them. They are an ink and they do stick. What you can do though is you can work in layers. So you can put the colour down like this, then add water to it, allow it to dry, go in with more pencil over the top, and then water again. So it's sort of pencil, water, allow to dry, then pencil, water, allow to dry, and you can layer up like that. But you just have to play around with these pencils, you know, test them out on scrap paper if you don't want to ruin a colouring page, or print a PDF out, that you can just have a play around with them, find out how they work. So the next colour is this iris blue. I think I just caught that colour then. I will just check in my collection. Yes, that was the iris blue. So I'm sort of bringing that colour into some of the deep indigo, just so that when I do add the water later, it will blend in a bit nicer. So you can see there I do bring it in to the deep indigo. I am only using a medium to light pressure on these pencils. You don't need to go in harshly with them. You don't need to be neat with them, because, you know, when you add the water, it's going to all blend out. So you don't need to be neat at how you're laying down these pencils. You can see that I am very blasé with them. I'm just off camera a little bit there, I do apologise. So as I'm coming under these little narwhals, I do just go in with a slightly harder pressure. And this is just so that when I add the water, it sort of creates a darker pigment underneath the narwhal, as if, you know, that's where there would be a bit of shadowing in the water. So I do try to do little things like that. But like I say, it does take practice, and once you add that water onto the page, it does kind of do its own thing as well. So I do try to put a harder pressure down where I want the shadows and a lighter pressure where I would want it lighter. But later on, when you add your water, make sure that you have got, you can either use kitchen roll, or I prefer to use like an old cloth, because that really does wipe a lot of the excess water away whilst you're doing it. But you can see here that I have gone over quite a lot of the smaller fish, and I've just left the larger fish out because I do add some different colour to the larger fish. But I think I go up with this iris blue just under that whale at the top, and then I do bring in another different shade, a different tone of bluey green. I have to say, I don't get my Derwent Inktense out enough. I do really enjoy colouring with these. So I think I'm going to rearrange my supplies, and I'm going to bring them out to the top, because you do find that when you've got quite a lot of supplies over the years, that some things do get pushed back to the, you know, the back of the drawer. So yeah, have a rearrange of all your supplies if you're like me and stuff gets shoved to the back, and just bring those things to the front and just really use them up. Have a play around with things that you've not used in a while. I find that it motivates me more to colour when I'm using stuff that I've not used for a while as well. I do like to do a lot of backgrounds with my Deckwhite Americano acrylic paints as well at times. But I'm getting off topic now. Talking about acrylic paints, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. Pardon the pun. So you can see under this whale here that I have used a harder pressure again, so that you get that, you know, whales are so huge, you're going to get that bit of shadowing under there. In hindsight, when I looked back at my image after I'd applied the water, I could have even gone under this whale with a bit of the deep indigo. That would have created more of a depth, more of a shadow under there. But you don't really know quite how it's going to turn out until you add that water. But like I say, you can always work in layers. So once you've added the water and it's dry, and you think, oh, I'd rather it be a bit deeper, you can then add more pencil over the top. So now I'm going in with the green aquamarine, and this is a beautiful, beautiful colour. It's sort of turquoise, I want to say. It's a really, really lovely colour. And just because I'm right on the outsides of the illustration now, I'm not zoomed in quite as much. But I am just using light to medium pressure, and I'm just laying this down in all the areas that's left, going up to right to the edge of the illustration with this. And I am bringing it through to that iris blue as well, so that when I add the water, it does all blend nicely together and we've not got this harsh line, hopefully, fingers crossed. If you can hear children in the background, I do apologise. I did film myself colouring this in silence, and then I decided I'd do a voiceover. But I thought it would be quiet enough for me to do this, but I'm not too sure. You might pick up little voices in the background. I hope they're not being too noisy. Little monkeys on the weekend. But it's really, really not nice weather out there today. It is chucking it down here in not so sunny England. The place where it rains more than anything else, I think, here. So I'm just off camera a little bit. Oh, there, pull it up. Brilliant. So again, I do go in with a bit of a darker pressure under that little narwhal and lighter towards the edge. I do have to say as well, it's only very recently that I have found out that narwhals are actually a thing and not a mythical creature. I genuinely thought they were a mythical creature, and it's only when I started colouring in the Tim Jeffs intricate ink books that I saw one in there, and I thought, well, Tim Jeffs doesn't illustrate mythical creatures. I thought he only illustrates creatures that are, you know, under threat or danger. So I actually googled a narwhal's real. That's so embarrassing. But I actually had to Google it, and that's how I found out. So yeah, it was last year that I found out that narwhals aren't a mythical creature. They're actually generally real. So there you go. That's really embarrassing, isn't it? 33 years old. But apparently, you know, a lot of people think the same. Drop me a comment down below if you thought the same. Oh dear. So yeah, I'm still going in with this colour, this green aquamarine. All the way around the edge. You will definitely need that old cloth or kitchen roll or something when we start adding water to this page, because we're going to get a lot of ink, especially if in the centre. So as soon as you add the water to the centre of that illustration there where we've put the deep indigo, there is going to be a lot of pigment, and sometimes you just have to, you know, dab that off onto your towel at the side here. So almost done with this colour, almost. I do hope that it's a nice pace for you as well, that I'm not going too quickly. Like I say, this doesn't have to be neat at all. You just basically throwing a layer down of pencil of the inktense. So don't try to be too neat. And I think that's that done. I'm just bringing a bit of the colour through to the iris blue here, I think. Just making sure that we're going to get a nice blend on it. So I did reference a couple of pictures for these whales as well, but they're pretty simple colours. So this is just my Arteza water tank brush. You can use any brushes, any sort of brushes you want. That's totally up to you, what you feel most comfortable with. There's a bit of tissue, so I'm just making sure that my brush is clean, because sometimes I do have a bit of pigment on there from other pages that I've worked on. So you can see now, as soon as we've put that colour down, it is highly pigmented. So you can just wipe it off your brush. That's why I've got hold of that tissue in my right hand, and I do just occasionally wipe it off, just so I can blend easier. But yeah, they're really pigmented, these pencils are really beautiful. I don't have the complete set actually. I bought mine from, I don't know if it was Jackson's Arts or Cult Pens, because you can buy these single stock. So that's what I did. I think I've got about 20 colours. single stock, but I do believe there's 72. I'm not quite sure, but it is quite pricey for the 72 set. Occasionally they have sales on Amazon, so keep your eye on Amazon if you're after these pencils. But other than that, you can get them single stock and build up your collection that way. It makes it more budget friendly, like that. But yeah, you can see I'm blending that deep indigo into the iris blue now. So we've come into the iris blue colour. If you do find that it's looking a bit patchy, a bit blotchy, and not so much blended out very well, like I say, wait for the pigment to dry, go back in with more pencil, and then water again. You can't just go in with water on top because it won't reactivate. They aren't like watercolours, they will not reactivate, so you have to put more pencil down first and then your water. But you can do it that way to correct patchiness or where it's not quite blended, anything like that. So I did take my time with this. You sort of do have to work quickly, but also, you know, take your time a bit because you can bring those outer layers into the centre. So as you're sort of wetting the iris blue, which I'm doing there, you can then pull that wet colour into the centre, and that sort of blends it a little bit as well. I don't know if I've explained that very well, but the best thing to do with these pencils, if you're not used to them, is just have a play around. Just find out how they work. So I'm going under the whale there where I put the bit of deeper colour. So normally I would put a bit of music over rather than talking all the way through. I might add some music towards the end. There is a bit of a time-lapsed part towards right at the end of the video, so I perhaps will add a bit of music there, but I thought it'd be quite nice whilst I'm using these Derwent inktense. I know there's quite a few people who don't have these or are a bit scared of using them. I thought it'd be nice to sort of talk it through a bit and explain what I'm actually doing. If you feel that you've put too much water down as well, you can pick that back up with your brush and just keep wiping your brush on your towel, on your paper towel or your cloth. But this book has really, really nice paper in it. Very much, it is probably the same paper as the Kirby Roseanne's books. It's the same publisher. It feels like the same paper to me, and it just takes so much water. These books take so much water. I didn't have any bleed through on this page whatsoever, and I used a lot of water. I did put a lot down on this page. You can hear my daughters in the background. They're absolutely wild next door. I do not know what they're doing, but they're crazy. But they're laughing, so that's a good sign. As long as they're not killing each other, I don't mind. Oh dear. So you can see I'm slightly coming into that green aquamarine colour now. So we're blending out the iris blue into the green aquamarine. My little boy's doing the most cute little giggle I've ever heard next door. I don't know what his sisters are doing to make him laugh so much, but there we go. You can probably hear it all. So you can see how lovely that colour is. It's like a really nice turquoisey blue. Really lovely. Oh, I don't know if this is going to be picked up on on the recording, my little boy laughing his head off, but they're happy, they're happy. That's all that matters. So halfway through this video as well, my lamp actually broke. The wire on it has snapped, unfortunately. So I'm either going to have to get a new cable or a new lamp. I'm not quite sure yet. But yeah, so then I was left with just the light in the room. So it does get a little dark. I do apologise for that. But yeah, it's sod's law that something breaks when you're filming, isn't it? So yeah, that's my lamp gone, unfortunately. But hopefully you can still see what I'm doing. So I am going round all those jellyfish as well, because I do put a different colour down on those to make them quite bright and make them stand out a bit from the page. And of course all those bigger fish that I've left out as well, I'll be doing a different colour on those too. So this is the second page that I've done in this book now, and the other page that I did I used watercolours on actually as well. So I'm finding that, you know, using a water medium are nice on these pages. I imagine some of these pages would take quite a while to do just pencil only, because some of them are very, very detailed. So I do prefer putting something down first, whether it's soft pastels, distress inks, water medium. It just really makes the page more manageable. Doesn't make it seem so intimidating as all that white space. So you can see me here sort of drawing that outline around the edge of the illustration as well with this colour. So I'm sort of, you know, making it a perfect circle all the way around with this green aquamarine. Still blending it into that iris blue as well, so we've not got a harsh line. I have as well just gone over, I don't know what they're called, but this sort of, the big sort of horn or nose thing that comes off the narwhals. I did just also go over that with this, with these inktense. Again, under these narwhals I have got a bit of a darker shadow that you can see where I went in with a harder pressure on those pencils. So you can see that's darker there. I'm almost finished with the background, guys, almost finished. I think it took me around 25 minutes to do the background. I think overall the picture took me about an hour and a half, an hour and 20 minutes, something like that. So I am just trying to get a bit of a better blend on that deep indigo that was in the centre there. I do just feel that it was a tiny bit patchy. think that's a bit of the iris blue that I'm blending out there. And then into the green aquamarine on the edge. So I have, as well as going over a lot of the small fish, I have gone over what look like little flowers and little bubbles as well. Because I really wasn't too fussed about highlighting the sort of little flowery things. The bubbles I do go in with white gel pen at the end. My kids are absolutely wild today. If they're a distraction for you, I do apologise. But this is my partner had a week off work last week, so we was enjoying some much needed time together. So I didn't do any filming last week, so this is the first moment that I've had to film. So that's why you can hear the children. But yeah, we really had a lovely week off. So you can see that I'm taking some of the wet pigment from the edge, and I was just blending it into that deep indigo colour. So I'm going in with this ink black now. I think it was a bit blurry, but it is ink black. And I'm using it on this whale at the top. So as you know, these whales are a really deep black all over, and then they've got little white patches. So the white patches are the little areas that you can see there that have been left bright white. And I do use a hard pressure for this because I do want this whale to really be highly pigmented black. You know, I don't want it going into a grey, because what you find with these Inktense is if I went on with a light pressure on this whale, it would come out grey, it wouldn't come out black. So you do have to sort of decide how much pigment you want down as to whether you're going to use light, medium or hard pressure. So yeah, make sure you're going in with a hard pressure on this whale, and then you will get the really black that you want. You can always go over the top with pencils or something like that. You will see me going over the top again with the Inktense pencil. I'll explain that when the time comes. But right now it's just a really hard pressure that I'm putting down here with this pencil. And not forgetting the little fin underneath there. Don't want to leave that one out. That's my speciality, missing things. And then I look back and I think, oh, I've missed that bit. Oh, I've missed that bit. And I bet you're all screaming at the camera like, oh, she's not coloured that bit there. That's what I do when I'm watching people's videos, when I spot little things. So I'm going in with my Princeton Neptune round number 4 brush on this. Just as the smaller areas now, I wanted this smaller brush size. It's a bit more precise as well. Because my water tank brush, it's got little bits of the brush fraying at the edges now. So if I'm not careful, it does just put bits of colour down where I don't want. I do need to get myself a new one. But these brushes are brilliant, these Princeton Neptune. The number 4 is fabulous for anything small like that, like the edge of the tail there that I'm going down on. So you can see that that's really nice black, that now. And that's because we put that hard pressure down. My daughter is so hyperactive. So if you can hear any sort of screaming, shouting, She's fine, she's totally fine, she's just hyper. That's all you can hear in the background. So you can see that I am being a bit more careful with these illustrations now than I was with the background, because I don't want to be messing up on this part, especially not near the finer areas like the tips of the fins. I do want to still have that definition there. So you can find with these Inktense that they can get a little bit patchy, and you will see me do something shortly when I've gone over with all the water. You will see me do something which I will explain when it comes to it. But I will also be popping this finished illustration over onto my Instagram as well shortly after this. Like I say, I'm doing it for part of the Colouring Checklist Challenge 2, hosted by Colouring Chat with Sammy. And if you don't know about that, head on over to Colouring Chat with Sammy's socials and you'll be able to find the details. An emergency vehicle just went past then, so I thought I'd cut that recording short a little minute. But yeah, the Colouring Checklist Challenge details are all on Colouring Chat with Sammy's socials. But it's basically about 3 pages worth of prompts, and the colouring prompts. So if you're in a bit of a colouring slump, or you want to be taken out of your comfort zone, or you want someone else to pick what page you're colouring, or etc, etc, it's really, really good. So this prompt is obviously, as I said in the start of the video, it's using inks, distress inks, Inktense, any sort of inks that are blendable. So this will be my tick off for that one. It could also be a tick off for colouring water, because this is a water illustration. So you can see that I've gone over all of that whale now. All of it has been activated with water. It's very black, but there was just a little section that had gone quite patchy, you can see. So I do go, once it's dry, you have to wait till it's dry. You can see me pointing there. Once it's dry, you can go back in with your pencil. So I'm going over all those areas that are a bit patchy, bit uneven, and I'm not going to activate that again. I've just gone over it as if it's a regular pencil, and you can do that. You can use these pencils dry, or you can use them wet. You don't have to activate them. So any patchy areas I went straight over with this dry pencil, and it sorted it right out, and you will see that when I go over that little patch what's left there, it's perfect black whale. So don't think you have to add water to these pencils, because you don't. You can use them dry as well. And there he is, little perfect whale now. Just tidying up just some of the areas where, like I say, it's a bit uneven. I can probably see better off camera. I don't think it really picks up much of the unevenness on camera. But I am just tidying up its little tail. So next I am going to colour these narwhals. So I'm going in with iris blue, and I do just put a little bit on the belly. And I've done this so it's creating a sort of reflection from the water, because I do think that these narwhals are sort of grey and white. So I have just used this as a reflection, basically, all on the underside of the narwhal. So using a light pressure because I don't want this to go down very pigmented. So I've put it on really lightly. And again, this is the ink black. Now you don't want to put a hard pressure down on here. Unlike the whale that we wanted really black, I don't want these narwhals black. I want them a really light grey. So barely touching the page with this colour, barely touching the page, really light pressure. You can barely see that colour. And then when I put the water down in a second, using my Princeton Neptune brush again, you can see here, once it's activated, because we've only used a light pressure, it is going down as grey. You know, it's not going to go down as that deep black that we had on the whale at the top. And this is what we want. All the way down to the fins, and you can see now that that grey's merged nicely into that iris blue that was on the underside of the belly. And I do just do the exact same for all three of those narwhals. Really easy to do those ones, really easy. Just blending out any areas where you might get a bit of patchiness. So again, exactly the same, using the iris blue again on the underside. Really, really light pressure, really light pressure. Just a touch. Bit on the tail and on the fins. My daughters are absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. I bet you think, what is this madhouse? So the ink black again, really, really light pressure, particularly on that face. You do not want to be going in black on that face at all. So really light pressure all along the top of the body, bit on the tail, really, really light on the face. And going in with some water again to activate it. Again, using my Princeton Neptune round number 4 brush. This one I have gone in a little bit darker. I wanted some variant from each narwhal. It does blend out. It does blend out even further in a second. You can dry your brush off and add more water if you want to get rid of some of that pigment as well. That's one way of doing it, is to clean your brush off and add water, clean water, and that'll pull some of the pigment away. Similar to how you would use your standard watercolours. Going down to those fins a bit, blending the grey into the blue. And then again, we're going to do the last little narwhal, going in with the iris blue first on the underside of the belly and the fins. Really light pressure again. Don't need very much on this little one. And then the ink black. Now, because this narwhal seems to be a bit more shadowed, I do go in darker with the ink black on this one. I probably use a medium pressure here on its back. That was my daughter screaming, do apologise. They are so wild today. I do not know what's got into them. But yeah, I did go in with a harder pressure with this ink black on this one because I did feel that narwhal was in more of a shadowed area. So adding water again to activate it with the Princeton Neptune brush. I am still keeping it light on the face, but the body there you can see has gone deeper. I do just wipe my brush off onto a cloth occasionally. You can see I do just get rid of some of that pigment just a tiny little bit. My little boy just came in with the iPad on full whack. I'm not winning today, not winning. So blending out into the tail there. So you can see how much darker this narwhal is to the other two now. It's nice to have some contrast, you know, not everything would look exactly the same. So now I'm going in with a tangerine, and I'm using this on all the little fish that I left out. Don't worry if you left out different fish to me, it doesn't matter. Maybe you wanted to leave all the fish out, but I just randomly picked some of the biggest fish to leave out so that I could use this tangerine colour on them. Now I do just use a light pressure with this colour because it is such a bright colour that if you do put this colour down with a hard pressure, it's really, really, really bright. Really bright, and I didn't want it to be really quite so bright. So just getting all those little fish in, making sure I don't colour the jellyfish by accident. That's something I like to do as well. So next I'm using the baked earth colour, and I'm just using this colour on the back end of the fish, so it just puts a tiny little bit more darkness to the back end of the fish. Not much, it's a really gradual gradient, but I just wanted that little bit extra on the tail. So you can see that that's what I'm doing, just going halfway up with this colour all round about. I do apologise that it's not very zoomed in on these parts. I was struggling to keep it in shot as it's such a big illustration and I was going from one area to the next. I didn't want to accidentally you know, be cutting you off camera, because it is quite hard to keep looking up whilst you're colouring to check that you're in frame. It is quite tricky, so I do apologise if it's not zoomed in quite as much as you'd like, but I was having issues with my lamp as well at this point. So adding water again, I'm starting off where I put the lighter colour. So I start off at the face of the fish and then I go in towards the tail. And that's so that you're not dragging the darker colour into the lighter colour. I find this works better to go from light to dark, but that's just a personal preference. You'll find your own way of doing things. So you can see that the fish's face is lighter than its tail. I'm not quite sure what those strange looking things were. You can see the fish and then the other things, you know what I thought it looked like? I thought it looked like a carrot with leaf on the edge. I don't know if you can get which one I'm talking about. But this one here, this one that I'm painting here, what is that? It's not a fish. But I had no clue what it was, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to colour it the same colour as the fish. So I had no clue what it was. But it looked like a carrot. It looks like a carrot with the leaf on the end. It's such a funny looking thing. But maybe if you have a better idea of what that actually is, you might want to colour it a different colour than what I have. Yeah. Drop a comment down below if you know what it is. Let me know what it is. So I'm just getting up to that top bit now. That very last fish at the top. Oh, there's a little zoomed out colourful picture for you. So now we're going to go in with the apple green, and we're going to do the jellyfish. So I only use this apple green on the sort of the top of the jellyfish. Is it its head? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, just using this colour on the very tops of the jellyfish. And this is a lovely colour as well, the apple green. Really nice colour. And then I'm going to go in with a nice purple shade. So this is Mauve. I didn't do a good job of getting that in short, but it is the Mauve. Mauve. And I'm using this for the tentacles, if that's what they're called. I think they're called tentacles. Might be wrong, but those bits that I'm colouring, those. I'm going in with the mauve on. I just thought those two colours looked really nice together. I didn't actually Google any references of jellyfish. I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to do my own thing. I just thought these two colours looked really nice, and I thought that's what colour my jellyfish are going to be. So I actually have no clue what colour jellyfish are. If you wanted to pick a more realistic colour, you can do that. This is just how I would do it. But the colours did really look nice together anyway. So getting into all those little nooks and crannies. It is quite delicate because they are quite tiny. The little bits coming off its legs or tentacles. Whichever they are. That's the last one, I think. So now it's time to activate all those beautiful colours. So again, I'm using this Princeton Neptune size 4 round brush. It's a really small brush, so I can get into those little areas a bit more neatly. You could even use an even smaller brush for these little bits if you wanted to. But I'm starting off by activating the mauve colour first there, just on that one. But I think later on I realise it's probably best to activate the apple green first. So I do resort to that next. And then activating the mauve. So we've almost, after I've activated all these little octopus legs or slash tentacles, we've almost finished. But what I decided to do is get out my trusty old white Arteza gel pen, and I decided to go around some of the things with the white gel pen. I like to do this in a lot of my illustrations because I just feel that it just gives it a bit extra. But also all those bubbles we went over with the inktense, I do highlight all those bubbles as well, which is quite nice towards the end. That part is time-lapsed because it does take quite some time, and I thought it's going to get boring sat watching me do all the white gel pen detail in real time. So yeah, that's why I speed it up at the end. But I hope that you've enjoyed me keeping the rest of it in real time. I hope you've been able to follow along if you're following along, or just enjoyed the video if you just like to watch this sort of thing. I also hope that my children haven't been too much of a distraction for you, because they've been absolutely wild today. Wild. So I hope that's not been too bad. I've not watched this back yet, so I don't know how much that's picked up on this recording, but I'll soon find out. That's a noisy motorbike going past the house as well. I live on the main road, so we have the traffic, the emergency vehicles, the children in the background. I'm surprised you can even hear me, to be honest. Oh dear. That's why a lot of the time I do put the music over as well as doing the voiceover, just so I can cut some of that out, because it does get a bit much at times. But yeah, let me know what you think, because I know quite a lot of people enjoy being talked through something rather than the music over. But I do like to put a bit of variety on the channel, so some things I'll keep as a colour and chat, a real time talking through. Sometimes I'll do a voiceover, sometimes I'll put the music. I like to put a mixed bag of things on so that we're sort of giving everybody something that they like, who watch the channel. So that's my last little octopus that I've just activated there. So now is all the white gel pen details. So with this white gel pen, I do go all the way around all 3 narwhals. I go around the whale, I go around the jellyfish, and then I go around all the bubbles. So this part is time-lapsed because it does take me quite a while. The gel pen can play up at times. The Arteza one does work better than other brands, but they still can play up a little bit. So this took me quite a while. So I will just drop a little bit of music in now for the end bit. Please do give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and hit the notification bell if you'd like to be notified when I upload new videos or go live. Thank you so much for watching. See you again soon. Bye everyone.